This is my hometown, Waldport, Oregon, population 2,303. And this is Waldport Video, a cash-only video store with a massive collection of VHS, DVD, and Blu-rays that has stayed open for 33 years, outlasting the Blockbuster video chain and continuing to rent movies during the age of Netflix. It's run by this guy. Hey, Chuck. So I guess my first question for you is, why Waldport? Was there something about the town that you just felt it was missing something, or that it might work here in a way that it wouldn't in Burnt Woods or wherever else you were?
Oh, Burnt Woods was too tiny, but yes, it absolutely, it had that, you know when it's right sometimes.
So what struck me is when I later visited your town you grew up in, South Bend in Washington, it felt like a replica of Waldport.
Well, it was very similar in size and attitude, and the little high school and the people that have always lived there, and they're all loggers or fishermen, very similar in content. And it was like, this is my new home. We came down here and went to Florence. Florence wasn't quite the spot. Came here and rented a space to Waldport and went home and kind of almost coerced the neighbor people into buying the restaurant that I had, the cafe I had, and they did.
Wow.
And bingo. And it even gets better. They gave me cash, $37,000 cash, and I spent it all on setting up a wonderful video store.
And when you moved to Waldport, you changed your name.
I just started using the name Chuck from Patrick because I had a Chuck belt buckle, and I thought that would be amusing to mess him up. A few people knew me as Patrick, so it also confused people, and that's kind of fun to mess with people's heads. That's the guy from the video store. His name is Chuck.
Chuck was born in New Mexico, which was something I asked him about on this FaceTime call.
Yep, my father was from there. My mother was from Bellingham, Washington. They met in Alaska, and bingo. A family is developed, and we moved short-term to New Mexico, and then they all moved back up to the Seattle area, and then that's where I was raised as a little kid up to 16 when we moved away to South Bend and started another whole life.
I'm getting a doorbell. 1 second.
Awesome. I could have had the barking dog here. She would start barking at that.
Our interview got interrupted a few times, but that was kind of perfect because that's how it used to be when I would talk to Chuck at the video store. I remember, in the 90s coming to your store, the phones are ringing off the hook and you're answering it. And how do you answer the phone?
What?
Oh, when you're agitated. But I always remember you saying, speak.
Oh, yes. Well, like that. That's right, too. Speak.
Maybe you also answered at Waldport Video, but I remember speak. And so you're answering questions. Do you have this movie? And then other people are trying to get your attention. A lot of people just came to the store to talk to you and to kind of get what I would call free therapy.
Well, consolence and it's free therapy in that sense, absolutely.
Yeah, and you were a great listener, but I think you spent a lot of time behind the counter just listening to people's problems. And if they had a problem and asked you for money, you just opened the register and handed them $10, $500, whatever they asked for, which is very unusual.
Yeah, whatever the need called for, and I got burned a couple times, but you know what? It's all the other people that mattered. It's not the people that burned me. They obviously didn't have respect for anybody else anyway, so I will never change their life.
You helped a lot of people. You kind of are like the tide. Money comes in, you give money back out. You weren't clinging to it. It's not as important to you as it is to others.
Oh, right. I'm a grasshopper. I'm not an ant. I don't look forward to very far into the future.
Yeah.
I do now that I'm older, but I didn't then. It just comes and it goes. Let it be. I don't need anything. I've got it right here.
When Chuck started his business, he went to Portland and bought 300 used titles. I asked him what one of the first movies he rented was, and he said Police Academy 2.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's one of them. I got 10 copies of The Passion of Christ. I never watched that horrible thing. Who wants to see a man bludgeoned to death?
Right.
Christians, apparently.
Back in the day, buying a video to rent at a video store, it was like $90 to $100 a pop. Instead of buying dozens of copies of the latest Tom Cruise movie like a Blockbuster video chain might do, Chuck would buy a few copies and then instead buy 8 interesting titles. So often you'd go in there and if he wouldn't have a new release, but he'd give you something interesting instead. Chuck had a lot of the B-sides and a lot of films that other video stores didn't carry.
Sorry, Pretty Woman's out, but try this one.
That was classic Chuck.
Jim Rose Circus Sideshow. Everybody remembers watching that. Oh, and those weird British ones, like With Nail and I, and A Z and Two Knots. They are really good, weird movies. I went heavy on stuff that I shouldn't have, and light on stuff maybe I would have made more money for it, but at $100 a whack, it was difficult to make that commitment.
Nevertheless, Chuck's collection of movies was huge.
Well, I was the nut, and I bought every single movie that ever became available to purchasers for a video store, so I accumulated quite a few movies, like at least 30,000, and I think I had about 20,000 DVDs when I finally wrapped it all up.
20,000 DVDs. Holy cow. I used to brag that you had 5,000 titles, so to find out that no, you had, it's a town of 3,000 people and you had 30,000 movies available.
Right. Did quite well there for a while, didn't I?
Yes.
It was the hub.
I mean, there was nothing to do in that town, so you had...
It's all about timing. It was amazing, perfect timing, because this is what a little hick town needed, and I was lucky to supply it. There was a couple other little spit video stores, and the markets tried to do it, but they're markets. They're not video stores. They didn't catch on fast enough on that either.
Business was really good at Waldport Video in the 80s, and he was making a lot of money. So good, in fact, that one Christmas he decided to buy a bunch of bikes for the town and gave them away to various kids. In addition to that, over the years, even regardless of how business was doing, Chuck gave out scholarships.
I thought, I know what I do. I'm going to have a scholarship at graduation for the graduates, and people would write a little essay or something, and it should have been put before a board of people, but it was me, and then seconded by Jeanette. That's probably, of course, that's not how it's supposed to be played out, and of course I picked people that I wanted to pick.
Sure.
And that's how it happens anyway, not by their merit, because, they read every book in the library. Well, that's really nice. That's real nice. But what else do you have besides that?
Right. And you sponsored every baseball team, basketball team, every kids thing. Waldport Video would be on a shirt.
That was part of being a business owner and participating that way in the community, because I'm not going to be a coach. You can be sure of that. So I can help support them.
Yeah, you made a lot of investments in the community. And I think at one point, I do remember a point where they kind of gave back to you, because there was definitely times where, people weren't treating the videotapes with respect or treating you with as much respect as you were giving them. But I do remember a fundraiser that the town had for you. Maybe even a Trailblazer came, and there was...
It was the alumni Trailblazer game, because I had a surgery. I didn't have insurance because I didn't feel I was that old. I was 40 something. I was that old. But they rallied around and paid off my doctor bill. Oh, but I remembered something in the 90s when I moved into this new building. Up on the hilltop, about a mile away from here, a pregnant young woman walked clear down here to have her baby, but she didn't have it, but the ambulance came.
She came to the video store?
Yeah, she walked all the way down here.
A pregnant woman walked all the way from Crestline down to the video store. Oh my gosh.
I can't remember her name, but she comes in every once in a while and remembers. Remember when I almost had the baby on your floor? I think her water broke outside. I mean, it was really neat.
Wow. As you can see, Chuck is a very unique person, and he ended up running one of the most unique video stores in the country. As I talked to people about Chuck in preparation for this project, people would say, didn't he used to have like a bird on his shoulder when he talked to customers? Or I remember that the price of soda was going up everywhere, but Chuck just kept it the same price. It was always like 50 cents for a 1 liter. He kind of did his things his own way there, which I really respect. He's a nonconformist in his own way, I suppose.
Another one I never watched.
Yeah.
Like Last of the Mohicans, all those hot movies that everybody liked. I never felt that I needed to watch because everybody liked them.
Yeah.
And another reason not to watch them.
Yeah. Chuck's video store had many fans and upset a few people as well.
And other people like us would come in here more often if you didn't have such weird shit out. You shouldn't say shit, but weird stuff around. Oh, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I'd hate to have to say, well, then just don't come in here.
Right.
I couldn't say that, but that's what I really wanted to say. But
yeah,
I have better manners than that. I'm just who I am completely, and I can't be anybody else. So don't put Chucky in a corner. I did have an angry mother that came in here, and they had rented, like 16 Candles or something. One of those
John
teenage movies that they all watched.
Yep.
And she came in and absolutely, this is one of my first years, and she goes, what are you doing renting my 14-year-old kid this movie? Well, he didn't rent it. Your 18-year-old son came and got it anyway, and you're the mother. You should be in charge of watching what they're watching anyway, you know?
Right. My memories of going upstairs, not everyone got to go upstairs and see your apartment.
That was that space, the private space. And I remember I moved upstairs when I had a surgery, and I just never went back to my other house.
The upstairs, I remember, had beads, birds, plants, and he started doing a lot of paintings up there after work.
So these are something that you'll never see again.
Oh, cool.
This is kind of nice when it's done.
How long have you been working on these?
Years. Takes years to get any project done. Here's one. Here's a nice one. Put those in a different place.
How do you think how are people going to react to these when do you think it'll be different?
Oh, I don't know what they're going to do, because most of my stuff is like, this is the other art show that I'm doing. It's the plant sale.
Yeah, or the high heels. Name the shows you've done?
Oh, I do the Red Shoe Diaries. I did it's under the new boxes.
And I tried to push the envelope on my art the best I could possibly do. Human bodies with a heart head. I sold all those paintings.
Yeah, as you went on, I mean, everyone would sell. And you got weirder and weirder with the paintings, which is kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
Or more esoteric, maybe.
This one's for Sergeant Martin, which I tried to explain to you, but you don't know who Sergeant Martin is, I don't think.
It's awesome.
He wanted something military or something like that. I thought this was a pretty good example of all that. And the stars glow in the dark, of course.
All right, give a call and I'll send this card for you, okay? You want me to try to hold it for
This
tomorrow?
is going to be titled, I Feel Lucky.
That's awesome.
I'm just kind of amazed how they turn out just by... I'm amused.
Anytime Chuck did an art show, he donated 100% of the profits to a nearby animal shelter in Newport, Oregon. That's just an example of the kind of generosity this guy had. He didn't just care about people, he cared about animals, he cared about everybody.
Jeanette came to work for me in the very first month or so, and we were friends for several years, and then one night I went to her house, and I never went anywhere else after work. And we're talking that whole 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of became your business partner and your right-hand man and another fellow vampire film lover.
Yeah, it all. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was just amazing. I'm one of the most fortunate people that I can think of in my head on something like that. rolling in on it. I played the video game routine too. That was actually out trying to be the best video store ever. And I think I lost my ass on all those games because they stole them and never returned them. And then they became discs and they wrecked them, or it would be a 4-disc game and they'd only return 3 of them and track them down. And then I got so lackadaisical I didn't even take phone numbers for who even rented. The new people, they would come in, he didn't even take our phone number.
And you used a handwritten tracking system for all the titles.
Absolutely. I am absolutely computer illiterate, and I don't even want to play that game. And I bought a computer to do that with because the statement was, will this run my video store? And the answer was yes. But then you have to get a program, and then you have to update it every entry, or you would lose that entry. And I'd rather have it on a scribbled piece of paper with a phone number I can't read than fight that in my head. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be crazy over that crap.
We're going to call Chuck here, and he doesn't know I'm calling today. This is random. Hello.
Hello. I'm at the hospital.
Oh no, you're at the hospital.
Just checking in for a lab.
Okay.
What's up?
I totally forgot something when I talked to you. I forgot that you've married a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah, that's right. At least a dozen.
A dozen? That's what I was going to ask you, is how many people you had married.
About a dozen.
Wow.
Let's see. I used to have a sign, just married, that somebody came in and I married him in the video store.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's great. Hey, I'm not going to keep you. I'll let you do your thing there, but we'll do this.
I am. I'm in.
We'll do this when you're not at the hospital. Chuck hadn't read any of his Yelp reviews, so I read one to him. Here's another Yelp review from Kyle M in Miami, Florida. He says, this is a video rental store from the days when video stores had more selection than the top dozen or so films of the moment, i.e. Blockbuster, and now these lame box dispensers at grocery stores. Don't get me wrong, Chuck has all the new crap, so if you want Avengers World of What's-His-Face for the kids, this is the place. But he's got so much more, and don't even bother browsing unless you have a few hours in a grocery cart, because you're going to find a lot. He'll give you some awesomely weird ones, if that's what you're into. His Blu-ray, DVD, and VHS, which we haven't seen for years, it was kind of a film museum feel here. We stayed here 2 weeks and we went in 3 times and I walked out with 12 discs every time and he just looked at the stack and charged me $10 each time. I asked when they needed to be returned and Chuck said several days. We love that place. Keep this place a treasure and go by for a visit. Pick up a film you wouldn't normally watch. So, yeah.
Oh, that's really good. That's
Yeah.
Are you the king of the la-di-da?
I've just been invited. I am a lesser known deity. And I intend to be naked, except for something glimmery here.
Oh,
to pull your eyes to my crotch.
On January 1st, 2020, Chuck closed his store for the last time. He simply put an I retired sign on the front door of his business, and that was that. Later, another sign went up with more detail. After 33 years of business, Chuck's Waldport Video has turned the open sign off for the last time. We want to thank you for providing us a place to share our lives with you. We are proud that this has been a place of comfort and support for so many. We've watched many graduations, gone to countless school programs, participated in reading programs, and provided movies for education. We've sponsored numerous teams, given away abundant amounts of food for both humans and pets, provided many gifts to those in need, and been part of a great community. We have been a part of so many lives, from watching little ones come in the door and pick out a favorite cartoon, to having them come back and bring in their own children to do the same. It has been a wonderful experience, and we will miss the camaraderie, laughter, long discussions about good and bad movies, about good and bad situations, and about life. I will be opening a new chapter in my life and will always cherish the times that I have had with all of you. I'll also never forget the movies you like. It's our hope that all have had genuine experience here and felt that you were listened to and cared about. Chuck and Jeanette. Waldport will not be the same town without Chuck Hill and his Waldport Video Gathering Place. He's listened, he's laughed, and done things his own way. He will be sorely missed.
avec leur trémolo, balayés pour toujours.